Many people wonder why 3D camera motion looks so artificial, and that's because the subtle real-world inaccuracies are missing. So when a guy has a camera on his shoulder and he's running around, you get all that secondary motion from the fact that he's moving with the camera on his shoulder. And typically, that secondary motion is missing in the 3D world, until now. With version 14, Maxon has come up with a solution for that. And that solution is the motion camera. So if we click on motion camera, put it in the scene, you can see we get this little rig with this interesting little guy here. He's got a camera on his shoulder. Zoom in there, we can see that a little bit better. And we have a whole lot of control over what he does with that camera. So if I click on the rig tab, I can make him much larger. So we can take the camera up or down. We can control the parallax, which defines the camera's distance in all three dimensions from the center of the camera person's head. So this is what that looks like. That's in X. This is in Y and Z. We can control his head while he has the camera in his hand. All right, getting something like that. And the camera itself. X, Y, and Z. If we come over here to the motion tab, we can control the secondary motion that I was speaking of. So if we click on play here, we can see we're getting the secondary motion on the camera. So if we look through the camera, we can see what that looks like. And we have some different presets that we can use. Calm basically shuts the camera down. There is no secondary motion. We can take a look at Steadicam 1. Okay. Steadicam 2, which is my favorite. We have Ego. And then we have Dogma Cam, which is moving quite a bit. If we click out of here again, you can see how that looks. All right. In addition, we have a target here. So if we had an object in the scene, let's say we want to put this way out here, and then we wanted to focus on that object all the time, we could come over and look for the targets. And that is right down here. There we go, targets. And we could take our cube and drop it in the target box. And now we're focused on this object while we're animating our camera. We can also animate the little guy along a path. So right now, go back up here, and we have our path spline set, which is the spline that is created with the motion camera setup. But we could also create our own splines. Now, just to show you how this works, if we animate the camera position A, you can see our guy going along here, and he's focused on the box or the cube the whole time. We could also go up here, come to the top view, and create our own spline. Create a Bezier spline, and start here, come over here, and do something like that. Now if we come back to our perspective view, we come back down here, we go in, find our path spline again, and drop our new spline in there. And you can see our guy jumps to the new spline we just created. And again, we can animate the camera position. So now he's moving like that. So we have a lot of control with this new motion camera. Now let's take a look at how we might use this in a real project. I've got this little logo set up. And the first thing I want to do is just sort of get this set to where I want to have this framed up. So I'm going to say that this is good. I'm going to drop in two cameras. The first one I'm going to call motion cam. And then I'm going to create one more. I'm going to call this main cam. Now, the main camera is the camera that I'm ultimately going to animate. I'm going to use the motion cam for the secondary motion, but you've got to have two cameras to get this set up to work. So with the motion cam selected, I'm going to right click, go to motion tags, and click on motion camera. Okay, so now we see that our tag is on the motion cam, and it also went to the center of the 3D world. Now let me go into the motion cam and take a look at the type of motion I want. So I'm going to go to Steadicam 2 because that's the one that I like. And maybe give it a little more intensity. Okay, like that. You get back out of there. So I know that that's the secondary motion I'm going to use. Now, this is where I want my camera to start out. So what I need to do is I need to link this camera, the motion camera, to the main camera. And to do that, we go to the motion cam and we look for the link parameter, which is under rig. It's right here. I'm going to drag my main camera into there. And let me just get back over here so you can see what's happened. This camera has snapped over to the position of my main cam. Now there's one more thing I need to do, and that is click on override rig dimensions, because right now it's at 175 centimeters in height, but I want it to be exactly in the same position as my main camera. So I'm going to click on here. You'll see now it's in the exact place I want it. So now all we have to do is animate the main camera. So I'm going to click on that. This is where I want to start out. So I'm going to come up to the main camera, go to coordinates, and put a keyframe by controller command clicking here for position and also for the rotations, the heading, pitch, and bank. Now I created that keyframe at 31, so I'm going to take that back over to 0, just slide it over. And over about 60 frames, I want to move this camera over here, maybe like that, sort of rotate it, get something kind of like that going on. Just a real simple camera move. Come back to the main cam, click on position, set a keyframe, and the rotations, set a keyframe. Now if we go and look through our motion cam, now again, the motion camera is going to be following exactly where the main camera goes. Look through this. I'm going to go to the beginning. Let's click on play. You can see what we get. Let's turn these cameras off in the viewport. So that may be just a little much, but you kind of get the idea. So we have the main cam moving over, and we have it following the motion cam. But in the motion cam, we have this secondary motion going on. A little bit jumpy. Probably should adjust the motion parameters. Let's come down here. Let's take that to maybe 80. There we go. Smooths out a little bit. Let's just set it on Steadicam 2. Try Steadicam 1. Okay. That's a little better. So you can see we have this nice little camera move from main cam 1, and we have our secondary motion coming from motion cam. Okay, so with the motion cam, we have a new way to animate cameras here in Cinema 4D.